I'm debating whether or not I want to just, maybe just kind of start my own consulting business, kind of with a background in data management, risk management, and data governance.
Okay, great. Thank you. Robert Nissenfeld? You can't. Okay, you can't unmute. Okay. Next, I have Santucci Bell.
Hi, it's Santucci. Nice to meet everybody. I am also here in the Charlotte metro area, just relocated in the new year after getting my MBA. I'm a local ecosystem builder here. I help diverse founders successfully launch, grow, and scale their ventures through program management and completing consultant projects focused on like special initiatives centered around inclusive entrepreneurship. I am actually exploring entrepreneurial opportunities to combat just the workforce being so bad. I've been having a hard time securing a post-MBA job here in the entrepreneurial support space. It was always my end goal to start doing this work under my own brand as far as supporting diverse founders. So I'm currently exploring what it looks like to do this under my own brand, meaning go for contracts with people who are already supporting diverse founders through programming and stuff, and see how to get those, because a lot of these programs hire small businesses or independent consultants to deliver all or aspect of their programming. So see if that's still viable, particularly in the space that supports underrepresented founders, given the fact that DEI and the disinvestment in businesses led by entrepreneurs of color. So yeah,
Okay,
just continuing education. I'm also just very interested in hearing more about the depth you speak about the validating and stuff, because since the space is under attack, I'm questioning if it's still viable to be a consultant, have your own business in this space where you're working specifically with entities that support entrepreneurs of color, given the attacks, given the disinvestment.
Sure. Okay, well, thank you. Hope I could answer your questions for you. Next, I have Shaden Blackman.
Hi, thanks. Just piggybacking off of what Marlena said, we have started a small business and we're looking to build a competitive business plan and understand how to be financially sound and gain some funding towards not just the recently incorporated business idea that we've started working towards, but also our future business endeavors. So basically just understanding, building business plans, finding funding, and growing our network. Thanks for having us.
Sure. Tanya Hinson. Tanya. Okay.
Hey guys, how are you? My name is Tanya Henson. I just relocated to the Fort Mill area, and I've been working in the solar salon, and I'm ready to open my own salon like I had before I relocated here. So I was talking to one of the SCORE mentors, and he suggested I take this class to start working on my business plan.
Okay, great.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Next, I have Wesley.
Yes, it's Wesley Tilley. I'm in the Raleigh-Durham area. I'm actually a new SCORE mentor. I decided to take this to observe.
Do you want to do this class?
Not yet.
Okay. I got Chris Rivera, I'm sorry. Oh, I got to let some people in here. Hold on a minute. Chris. Hold on.
Hi there.
Hi, Chris.
I don't know. I got a message that says I'm being asked to speak.
Okay. Is this Jamie?
Yes.
Okay. You can speak. Tell us a little bit about yourself and what you want to get out of today.
I'm a student and in the tech sector, but I'm interested in finding information on how to create a business plan and other potential resources to support that, because it's has environmental impact,
Uh-huh.
as well as impacting, it's in the STEM variety of things. So, and then also looking for a mentor in the space. I've just connected with SCORE here in Raleigh.
Okay, fantastic. I'm trying to see who did not speak yet. Zaquanza or Jamie? Jamie or
I haven't. This is the Kwanzaa Cares.
hi?
Hello. I'm just basically like everyone else. I'm starting my own business. My field is commercial junk removal. I'm just
Okay,
looking for a basis to, start. Definitely want to have my head and my mind in the right space before I try to jump into starting something that I really don't know what I'm working with. But I
yeah,
do appreciate you all for holding the class for us. Thank you.
sure. You're welcome. I got Jasmine Watson. Hello.
Hello.
Hi,
Hey,
Jasmine.
hi. So my name's Jasmine. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm basically just here to get my thoughts in order. I'm in the planning phase of my business, so I'm just trying to get ideas on structuring wise. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Okay, great. Thank you for joining us. I have Juan Brandt. Juan?
I think he
Okay.
doesn't have mic.
Okay, Atifa? Can
Yeah, I
you-
spoke already. I was just letting you know that.
Okay. I have Caitlin.
Hi, yeah, my name is Caitlin. I am in Pineville, which is a suburb of Charlotte. I'm one of those people who have a million ideas, and I don't know what exactly I would be interested in doing with the business. I'm an American Sign Language interpreter. I've been thinking about doing that freelance, but I'm also into creative things. I'm into consulting, so all kinds of ideas. But what I'm hoping to get from this is figuring out how to develop a business plan, insurance and taxes,
Yep.
the differences between LLCs and other types of corporations, and multiple owners versus individual owners.
Okay.
Yeah, funding and all that good stuff.
We're going to cover a little bit of that, not in
Okay.
detail. But
Okay, well, thank you for hosting this.
sure. And I have Corey Fear.
Yes, hey, I'm Corey, and I'm actively working towards starting an e-commerce business for pet clothing. So I'm here
Pet
for
clothing, you said?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
Pet clothing, and I'm here to learn what everyone else is learning. I'm currently working towards applying for my LLC and getting that set up, but I had a couple items that I'm kind of confused about. So I'm hoping that we cover those here today.
Okay.
And I appreciate you hosting this.
My pleasure. Okay, I'm trying to figure out who I missed. Is Jordan, Jordan, did you speak yet? Jordan Christian?
No, I didn't get a chance to speak yet, but yeah,
Okay.
I want to try to start a company for EV mobile charging in Charlotte.
Okay.
So
Yep.
just trying to get a better direction on what I need to do next to kind of start that next process to taking that next step.
Okay, great. Anyone else did not speak? Tanya Henson, maybe? Or you spoke? Who didn't?
My name is Felicia Polk.
Hi,
and
Felicia.
I hadn't spoken
Okay.
yet.
That's fine.
I'm here in Charlotte. I have a small consulting firm where I specialize in various aspects of business operations. And I'm taking the class as part of my onboarding to SCORE.
Oh, okay, great. Welcome to SCORE.
Thank you.
Since the names are all over the place, anyone else did not speak yet? Did I miss Paola? Let's see.
Hi, my name is Asia. I haven't spoken yet.
Okay.
I'm really just hoping to get, I feel as though I'm in between the stages of like ideating and then making the business plan. So I'm wanting to
Okay.
get like what exactly needs to be done before the business plan is embarked upon.
Okay. Great. And then I have, I think some, Paola Felder.
Yes. Hi, my name's Paula Felder. Can you repeat the question again? Sorry.
Yeah, just tell me a little bit about yourself and what are you trying to get out of this course today?
Oh, so I'm out of Charlotte, and my husband and I, we've just been thinking about ways of opening up a business, and just we've come up with a plan like over like a whiteboard, and on my end, I just want to know where to start. We just have a lot of ideas of what we want to do and just want to dial it down to, okay, this is the best bet of where I want to go or where we want to go.
Okay, great. Okay, I think we got everybody. If not, who didn't speak? Anybody? Okay, I think we got it. And there were a few people that could not get their mic on. Okay, so let me share the screen with you and we'll get started. Hold on a second. I gotta call up this presentation. Okay, can everyone see this?
Yes, I can.
Yes.
Okay, okay, great. Let me just do one thing here. This is a lot of stuff going on here. That's not what I wanted to do. Oh, you guys still there? Wait a minute. I think I lost you.
No, we're still here.
Still here.
Okay.
Got a
Sorry
very
about that.
close view of your bookmarks bar.
Yeah. Okay. Hold on one second here. This it looks like. All right. You see that now?
Yes,
Hello?
now it's in the slideshow.
Okay, great. Okay, so this is called Simple Steps for Starting Your Business. We're going to talk about some basics. One of our sponsors is Truist Bank. Okay. Just a little bit about SCORE. SCORE volunteers are successful and experienced business executives. SCORE does seminars and workshops. We offer free mentoring. You know, we do one-on-one email as well. There's a lot of resources for small businesses on our local regional website, which is charlotte.score.org, or you can go to any of your local ones or the SCORE, or you can go to the SBA website as well. There's lots of resources. Most of our SCORE volunteers are retired executives or own small businesses. I'm a little bit of the exception. I owned a business, sold it, and now I'm doing real estate. So I'm starting a new business like 2 years ago. Just in terms of how things work with SCORE and this, these webinars, you know, if anyone started one-on-one mentoring, you could go through the website and ask for a mentor. Session 1 is Startup Basics, which is what we're going to do today. Session 2 is really developing the business concept, which is really more of a go or no go decision, whether you're going to use that business concept. Once you know that, then you would start building your business plan. Session 3 is really all of that marketing plan. The fun part is session 4, which is financial matters. You know, you're running a business, you need to understand your financial statements. That's really, really key. And if you can't do it, you need to hire an accountant. Session 5 is funding. You know, how are you going to buy the business, you know, capital that you need or start up your own? Obviously, it's really important. There are SBA loans as well. You can get loans through your bank, etc. So what are you going to learn today? So we're going to talk about a little bit about the benefits of the workshop, the myths and the realities of entrepreneurship, some success factors that are critical, different options of owning a business and components of ownership. Talk about the legal aspects, some basics to writing a business plan, a little bit of self-assessment, and then talking about next steps. Okay. What are the benefits of our workshop? Help you develop your feasibility plan. We'll take you through the decision-making process, provide you information to make a go or no-go decision, have the information to create a complete business plan, which you would need for bankers and investors and for yourself. And again, the business plan is a work in progress. You're always going to change it, based on actual results. Gives you the key direction you need to get started. Couple of myths of entrepreneurship. One is you won't have to work that hard or put in such long hours. Actually, that's not true, and it's the opposite. If you want to start a business, you really can't do it part-time unless you have somebody else helping you. So you better like what you're doing. Myth 2, my product is unique or service, there's no competition. That may or may not be true. You really need to do some research to find out if you do have competition in your area. If there are multiple people doing the same thing, that's going to be a lot difficult unless you have something unique to compete, or to really be a viable business. Myth 3, business owners can deduct everything, so you won't have to pay taxes. No, obviously I'm not the expert here, though I have an accounting background. You need to talk to your CPA. There are certain expenses, of course, you can deduct, but you still, well, if you're making a profit, you're gonna have to pay taxes. As a business owner, you won't have a boss. Well, you're really your own boss. As a business owner, you report to yourself, which sometimes is difficult. What I always recommend is, as an owner, you really want to have another mentor to bounce things off of, or other business owners that you can, speak to for best practices. Business owners get to do whatever they want to do. Well, to a certain extent, yeah, but you really need to be focused on the business. You can't be all over the place. You got to be very focused. Okay, so let's talk about planning. Proper planning is really key. So this is saying that after 2 years, the percent of new business that succeed with 2+ employees is pretty high, actually. It's 76%. And then 24% failed. Okay. Usually, the first 18 months to 2 years is really critical. If you can make it through there, that time frame, you've done a really great job. Buying an existing business, or I'll say a franchise, and we won't go into too much detail. There's a lot more success with that. This is like a proven business model. But like starting your own is a lot more difficult. And then buying an existing business is not necessarily a breeze, because a lot of times people buy an existing business and they run it into the ground because they want to do things differently. After 5 years, you can see it's 50-50. Okay. Again, these are new businesses with at least 2 employees. Okay, so what does it take to run a business? Here are a couple of success factors. It does help to have an education experience in the field. I mean, I didn't have an education. I'm not a teacher. I didn't have an education. I'm educated, but not in academics. But I knew I knew a lot about business because I was a finance person. So it really helped me. I had to hire the right people in my business who had the expertise. So when you say experience, it might be working in that field, or it might just have that corporate background. A lot of people who go into business have a corporate background, and a lot of the skill sets they learn there are really transferable to owning their own business. Obviously having a strong work ethic is really important. If you're not liking what you do and you're just kind of blowing it off, you're not going to make any money. You got to be the one, depending on your business. If it's service oriented, you got to market the business, otherwise no one's coming to buy from you. Time management is key. We all want to have a balance between our personal and our work life. That's why I decided to buy a business. Since I'm my own boss, I can manage my own time, and I ran my business pretty much from my home. ability to manage and multitask. Obviously, that's kind of no matter what job you have, or whether it's personal or business, you have to be able to multitask. And if not, you need to delegate to others. Like I said, willingness to ask for help, take advice. I think it's really critical to have a mentor. If you're working with someone from SCORE or like a friend or someone who's been really successful in business is really, really key. You don't want to be out there on your own. And then obviously there's the financial piece. You need to have some adequate capital to start your business. And that's something that, you need to figure out. I mean, if you own a franchise, a little bit more, they tell you what it's going to cost. And, if you're starting your own business, and you kind of have to make a lot of assumptions in terms of what it's going to cost you to start up the business. Any questions so far? Okay, great. In terms of financial resources, depending on what your business is, you're going to need, certain tools and equipment. If you have a brick and mortar, you have a lease, you may have to do some improvements in that space. There are permits that you may or may not need, and licenses depending on what your business is. I have a real estate license. I have an office, but if someone asks me for my license, I have to show it. Professional fees, you may need an accountant, which not need, you will have to have an accountant to help you do your potentially bookkeeping, your taxes. And at the very beginning, if you're buying an existing business or buying a franchise, you're going to have to sign a legal document, a purchase agreement. Franchise, you're going to need, I would recommend having an attorney review that. It's really important. It's a big investment. You don't want to take a risk. Usually on the attorney fees, it's usually an initial fee. Hopefully you won't have any other attorney fees going forward until you sell it. If your business is inventory dependent, you got to figure out how much inventory you need. And then a capital reserve fund is really, you need to if business is slow, if it's seasonal, you need to have enough money in your reserve to cover expenses, pay employees, etc. Okay. When you're looking at your financial considerations, I mean, I'll use this as a myth. I think a lot of people think, oh, when I start my business, I left corporate, I'm making $100,000 in salary. Oh, I'll be able to do that in my first year of business. Let me level set you. It's not going to happen because you have a lot of expenses up front. You may not be able to pay yourself a salary, even if you don't hire other employees. You're going to be reinvesting in your business. It's going to take some time to, make a profit. I would say the first 18 months to 2 years, which is really the period where you figure out whether you're going to be successful or not, is really the investment in the business. But, you got to pay the bills, right? So what is your monthly cost of living? Can you cut back on certain areas, certain things that are not essentials? What debt do you have? Obviously you have your mortgage, but is there other debt like credit card, car payments, things like credit card, especially if you're trying to get a loan, you want to have good credit. They may want you to get down your balances on credit cards. What do you have in savings? How are you getting the money? Is it from your own savings, family members, friends? They're going to take a loan, etc. And what do you need? How much do you need to cover the next 6 to 12 months of your expenses? And that's important to figure out, because if you don't have that, you got to figure out how much revenue you need to earn to cover those expenses, or at least to break even. Okay. What are your options for starting a business? Okay. So there are advantages of owning your own business. One is you're not hampered by previous reputation or technologies of an existing business. So if you're not buying an existing business, you have free reign to figure out how to run that business. And people don't know you. So if you buy an existing business and they don't have a good reputation, that's going to hurt you. You can choose your location, the name, your logo. You build your own relationships. You can explore new markets and directions. So you have a lot of free whatever free will or leverage when you're starting from scratch. The disadvantage from starting from scratch is you got to really build your customer base. You don't have one. If you buy an existing business, like my business was a service-oriented business, basically when I sold it, he basically is getting my customer list, and that's a good start. But you always need new customers. It's a little bit more riskier. Obviously, there's risk involved. If you're not a risk taker, you probably shouldn't start a new business. Obviously, you're not getting a steady salary. If you worked in corporate before, used to a steady salary. If that doesn't work for you, and you don't have another source of income coming in, it might be tough for you to do that. I mean, my wife had a full-time position when I bought my own business. I don't think I would be able to live if my wife didn't have a steady salary. And also, like I said, you don't have any track record. So if you're trying to get financing, you're gonna have to they're gonna want to look at your financial statements. Well, you don't really have financial statements if you haven't started a new business, but you have to make assumptions. What are you budgeting? What are you forecasting? Any questions there? Okay. So buying an existing business, a little different. Advantages are, you have established clientele. So if you buy the business, you're really buying the client list, potentially suppliers, the location. If it's a brick and mortar, the business may have, may have a good reputation. It has a proven, formula system set up already. So that makes life a little bit easier. When you buy an existing business, part of your due diligence process, you're going to want to review the financials and make sure, that makes sense. They have to share that with you because they're going to say, my business is worth $1 million. Well, how do they get to that number? Have you guys ever watched Shark Tank? They say, my business is worth $10 million. And then the sharks are like, well, can you tell me what your sales are? So that's really important. And since the business has a track record, it might be easy to get a loan and other financing. Disadvantages, you may acquire some of their headaches, maybe hidden issues, debt, poor reputation. They may have loyalty to the previous owner, so you got to prove yourself. Out-of-date inventory, transfer issues. Yeah, like I had when I sold my tutoring business, he actually ran it into the ground, mostly because he wasn't working with it. And also he's very dependent on existing customers and wasn't trying to get new customers. And then a lot of people, it's also, if you're doing a service business, there's a trust factor. Even my real estate business, people need to trust you before they work with you. And if they don't feel comfortable with the new owner, that new owner is going to lose business. And some other issues, you may have issues with employees. You may need to hire new employees. They may leave when the owner sells the business. And there's no guarantee that success will continue. Like I said, some owners come in, they think they know what they're doing, and then they run the business into the ground. That happens a lot in the restaurant industry. Okay, franchise. Is anyone looking to buy a franchise? Okay, I'm not going to go into it, but basically the advantages, pretty much high level, is that you're buying a proven system. So there are other franchisees out there that are doing the same thing, and you have best practices. You have a franchisor that's providing you training and guidance. Obviously, the disadvantage is you're giving them a percentage of your income, what we call royalties. You do have a binding contract. You could have a 10-year agreement. It's hard to get out of it. You still have to pay royalties, regardless of whether you earn revenue or not. And there's also, like anything, nothing's perfect. There's always issues in the system, and you may be unhappy with the franchisor. Are they really providing you resources? You're paying them X percentage in royalties, and you feel like you're not getting a lot from it. And then there's the home-based business. Sounds like a lot of you are looking to do that. The advantage of that, and I kind of felt like, even though I owned a franchise, all my tutors were contractors, 1099s. So my overhead was lower because I didn't have to pay like Medicare and Social Security tax and all that. And I didn't have rent. So advantages are, work from home, less overhead, flexible schedule. there are some tax advantages. You can write off certain things. If your office is 1,000 square feet and your home is 5,000, you can write off like a fifth of it. Your expenses. You can have remote workers. You can hire anyone, anywhere. You don't need them to be in your home. Some disadvantages. I know for me, probably one of the biggest disadvantages. I'm a people person. I felt a little isolated working from home. What I did is I work with Regis, which you can get office space. They basically it's one big office with different offices. Different companies have space. I didn't have permanent space. I can go there anytime and use the lounge. And once a month, I had an office. Just kind of get you out and about, and also you get to network too, and you feel like you have a purpose every day, which you get up and take a shower, right? Nonprofit. I'm not going to get into this too much. I don't think anyone here is. Did someone mention nonprofit to me? I don't remember. Can you guys all hear me?
I'm able to hear
Yes.
you. Fine.
Okay.
Yeah, we can hear you.
I just want to make sure. Okay, so nonprofit managers you can qualify for grants. There's some protection from liability for directors and employees. You can pay salaries, consulting fees to contractors. Disadvantage, it has to be some type of education on charitable purpose. You can't profit from those who created the organization. The profits remain in the organization, and you have to qualify for 501c3 status or sales tax exemption. Okay, and then online businesses, there's a lot of those. Definitely lower startup costs. You can expand your reach. If you're selling a product or service, they can shop 24/7. And obviously with this, you could do this business anywhere. Unfortunately, with online businesses, they're kind of a dime a dozen, so there's low barriers to entry. Again, the same thing, no personal contact, limited sensory input customers. Consumers have higher expectations with online businesses, are less tolerant of problems. Okay, so let's talk about components of owning a business. So as the owner, you're going to wear a lot of hats, especially at the very beginning, because you really need to learn your business and get your hands dirty in all aspects before you can start hiring people and delegating. Okay, at some point, and I've had coaching, you want to be on your business and not in your business, because then you get into the weeds and you can't get anything done, and you're going to lose your hair. And then you'll have to wear a hat. So you're the CEO. Obviously, you're the president of the company. You may have some administrative staff helping you or being like an assistant. And then the functional areas are accounting, human resourcing, marketing, sales, customer service, production, and fulfillment. And then depending on the business, technology and facilities. Obviously, the accounting is really important. You got to do bookkeeping monthly, and you have to have your financials ready for your accountant. I had to do bookkeeping once a month. I had to provide financials to the franchisor. If you own your own business, you don't necessarily have to do that. It's not a franchise. Human resourcing, depending on your business, you may have to hire employees. If you're not really good at that, you may want to bring in somebody else to do that for you. Marketing, very key for any business. How are you going to get your information out there? What's your distribution channel, et cetera? And then marketing drives sales. And then you're always going to have customer service. You're not going to satisfy all your customers. You're going to have issues. You always need to build the relationships. Not that the customer is always right, but nine times out of 10 they are, and you have to satisfy them. There's always that 80-20 rule. 20% of your, I forget how 80-20 works, but basically 80% of your business is coming from, let's say, 20% of your customers. Okay. And then, so those are kind of the different hats you wear. If you're not an expert in any of these areas, you definitely want to outsource it. But then again, I have an accounting background, I was doing my own bookkeeping at the very beginning, and I was pulling my hair out. I said, this is not my business. I want to be, selling. And that's when I brought in a bookkeeper to do my monthly books. And that was really helpful. Marketing. So again, that's really the strategies used to create a desire to purchase your services or your product. You know, your product or service is not going to sell itself. You need to create and promote your image and build your brand, and that doesn't happen overnight. Obviously, there's online marketing, there's print marketing, there's guerrilla marketing. You know, I did a lot of online marketing because that's how people search for a tutor, but it was expensive. You know, so you know anything that's going to cost you, you know, less, a little bit to do marketing, and you're getting a return on your investment. You're gonna have to test a lot of different marketing strategies and to figure out what sticks and what doesn't. Branding again is, you know, you got to get your name out there, name recognition. You know, what's the qualification of your product or service, and that's going to take time, right? Once you're out there, you definitely want to get, you know, testimonials and reviews and all that. That's going to really help your, you know, to qualify what you're doing and getting your name out there. You know, you may or may not do traditional advertising, but if you're a brick and mortar type business, you're probably going to need to do that. Sales, you may be doing that on your own. You might have your own salespeople that you hire. You know, they're going to contact and connect with the customers. I mean, as an example today, I mean, I'm a real estate agent. It's all about leads, right? I know a lot of people, but also there are a lot of people out there that don't have agents. We were cold calling today. Don't like doing it. But we sat there for 2 hours, about 6 agents to 7 agents, and we had a list. And, you know, we talked to a lot of people aren't interested. We got a couple of decent leads. But it's all about getting customers, right? And building the relationships. And that takes time. And once you have a good customer base, then you're relying on referrals. That's really, really key. That's when you know you have a mature business, is when you're getting referrals. So the sales process is to get your name out there. You know, you're depending on what your business is, you may do presentations to prospects and about your business. And you know, if you're working on large transactions, you may need to prepare bids. Let's say you want to do business with the school system, they're going to require you to do a proposal. You know, it's a lot more complicated if you're working on very, very large transactions. So, do you have the skills to run the business? Are you weak in any areas of business operations? So if you're not a financial person, I urge you to, you know, you don't need to be an accountant, but you need to understand how to read a financial statement. Very basic, you know, to understand where your revenue is coming from, where your expenses are, and therefore what your net profit is. And you need to know how much cash you have in the bank because you might have profit, but you might be spending a lot of money, and then you have no money in reserve in case, you know, your business slows down. So you need to understand basic profit and loss statement and a basic balance sheet. That's really key. And really the biggest thing that's important and your accountant can help you with that, is really your cash flow. So you want to know where the ins and outs of your cash, right? So obviously you have expenses every month, you're getting revenue. You want to know, you have $10,000 in the bank now, and then you only have $5,000 next month. How did that happen? What are the ins and outs, excuse me, of your cash flow? There are courses you can take, and we have some courses, and there's online stuff, whether it's us or somebody else. You don't have to enroll in a university unless you want to become an accountant or financial advisor. If there are aspects of the business that you don't really want to learn or doesn't fit your skills, like I said, you can hire people to do that or outsource them. And like I said, even if you're skilled in these roles, you're not going to have time to handle all. What's most important to your business and what you will focus on and what you want to delegate. If you know the gentleman who's the chef, I'm assuming your skill set is cooking. I think maybe not. You probably don't want to be doing the accounting, right? So I would definitely hire, you know, an accountant or bookkeeper you need to be involved, but you don't want to be doing the day-to-day. Okay. Other critical factors when you're starting a business, you need to consider, the location. Who's your target market? Is there a niche? You need to really do some research on your competition. Distribution is important depending on what your business is, and the merchandising aspect, the inventory. If all of a sudden you have a huge demand in your product or service, or more the product side, you need to figure out inventory control. You don't want to have too much inventory. You don't want too little, depending on what the demand is. And then we have the pricing. Pricing is really important. Like I said, depending on what your service or product is, if you feel like you have a unique value that someone else doesn't have, you may want to price it higher, depending on what that is. You need to do some competitive research. You can pretend to be a consumer, call up different companies and ask them what they charge for a product or service. I do that a little bit with my tutoring business, just to understand what the competition is. Most of them are very different than mine, so I felt like my pricing could be a little bit more aggressive. So, definitely as part of your business plan, you definitely want to determine, come up with your pricing. That's going to drive your financial statements, and what your expenses would be to drive that revenue. Okay. Okay, so if you're looking at your competition, these are the things that you want to assess. I'm sorry. You want to look at their operation, how many employees do they have, their pricing, the quality of their service or product, what are they providing, what are their strengths and weaknesses. You may want to visit and observe those businesses, understand who their suppliers and contractors are, and are there other businesses in the area that are competing with you. So that's really important. Someone have a question? Heard something. Okay. Everyone's very quiet. I've had a long day, so I'm not trying to rush you, but my voice is going. Okay, let's talk about the legal part. And somebody who was interested in this. Okay, so there are basically 5 forms of business organization. The sole proprietorship, which is a one owner, partnership, which is 2 or more people in the business and running the business. Then there's limited liability, C Corp, and S Corp. So I will briefly, I just want to make sure. All right, so I'm going to briefly talk about each one. So really the simplest form of a startup company is a sole proprietorship or a partnership. It's easy to form it. You always have to have, so you have to register, with Secretary of State. In any case, whether it's a sole proprietor or an LLC, you have to get a name and you have to register it. But so it's a simple form of ownership. The only negative is if you're a sole proprietor and your customer wants to sue you, he's suing you personally or suing the partnership. I mean, all your assets are, at risk, including your home. So if that's, you may start out that way, but at some point you may want to become an LLC or S Corp, because they're not, your personal assets are protected. It's only your business asset. So you can't be personally sued. God forbid you have to file bankruptcy because someone's suing you or whatever. You can't do that. You can't file, let's say, personal bankruptcy. You file your business bankruptcy. I set up as an LLC for both my businesses that I owned. And I would tell you, I'm not going to tell you which one to do. I definitely talk to your accountant. So I'm an LLC, but I file as an S corporation. And basically what that means is that we do a corporate return for my business, but I don't pay corporate taxes. Whatever the net income is, or if there's a loss, it flows through to my personal return. Okay. So that's the difference. So an S corporation, flows through to personal. I think if you're a C corporation, it's a little bit different. I'm not really an expert on that part, but that's a discussion you definitely want to have. So the thing is about sole proprietorship, and if anyone's ever owned a business and you file a return, you have Schedule C, which basically is self-employment. You're going to have to pay self-employment tax, and that could be expensive because it's a percentage of your income, and you get doubly taxed on that. If you file as a S corp or you're an LLC, you don't have to worry about that. So that's one of the big differences. You could avoid that tax. Some maybe more government regulations. Obviously, in Mecklenburg County is a little bit different. You don't need a license anymore for your business per se to run the business. I mean, real estate's a little bit different. We used to have to get a physical license. You know how you see in the store, they show their license. That went away in that county. So I don't know how it is in other parts of North Carolina or wherever you're from. Obviously, there are different labor laws. I mean, if you're hiring people, depending on how old they are, you can't pay less than minimum wage, etc. They're part-time, they only can work certain hours. I won't get into immigration laws. If somebody doesn't have their green card, you're taking a risk hiring them. And then, if you hire employees, you definitely have to take out Social Security and Medicare. So that's also a cost. So if you're considering hiring, you want to figure out whether you want them as a 1099 or independent contractor, where you don't have to provide any benefits and you don't have to take taxes out, versus an employee where you're going to. So that's going to cost you more to hire an employee. So there are pluses and minuses. And independent contractor is kind of a gray area. Like with my business, I'm an independent contractor as a real estate agent, meaning that I run my own business. I am affiliated with a firm, but they really can't tell me what to do. They can't tell me how to run my business, so if they start telling me you got to be in from 9 to 5 and you do this, this, and this, then I become more of an employee. So depending on how you run your business will dictate whether you would bring on consultant, 1099s or employees. I won't go into all of this, but obviously there's a lot of insurance considerations. If you own a business, brick and mortar, you got property insurance, liability, etc. You're going to own a car for your business. You may need an umbrella policy. If you have employees, you may have to take out, workers' compensation. You may not provide health insurance for your employees, but you're going to need health insurance for yourself and your family, unless you have a significant other that has their own insurance through the company. Then you don't have to worry about that as much. There's also business interruption insurance. Let's say it was COVID, you had to shut down. You're losing income. If you have business interruption insurance, that would cover you for any potential, income loss. Okay, I know this is a pretty high level. Before I go on to the next section, does anyone have any specific questions about what I covered so far? Okay. Okay, so let's talk about a business plan. So a business plan is really a working document. And I can send you, we have templates for that too. It's basically telling about your business, okay? From your point of view, or an objective point of view. It is a planning tool. And it's really, a lot of people write, I guess I haven't been that great with it. You write a business plan, then you never go back and look at it. But if you don't you really need to update it every year, right? And see if you're meeting those goals. It's a working document. And a lot of it, you're making a lot of assumptions. Until you start the business, you're not going to know. So you always need to readjust. It communicates to people what your business is. That's really going to be key if you need to borrow money and you're looking for investors. You need to really be point on with what your business is, because if you don't know what it is and you don't explain it, no one's going to lend you any money. So that's really key. And you need a map too to figure out how to get through things. It's kind of a business plan. I think of it as a road. Okay. So there are different sections of the business plan. You got your table of contents. There's an executive summary, which is just like an overall summary of what your business is all about. Section 1, you get into the details of the business. Then you have the financial forecast. So you're going to have like a forecasted profit and loss statement. You may do it over 3 to 5 years. You're going to make a lot of assumptions on that. What's my price? How many units am I going to sell? How many customers am I going to get? How many customers am I going to lose? There's a lot of different assumptions. There's no right or wrong. You just need to come up with the assumption and really back it up. Section 3 is really the supporting data for your assumptions. So those are really the main, there's a lot of other stuff in here. There's also the marketing plan, maybe an exit strategy. Maybe you're going to do this business for 10 years and then you want to set yourself up to be able to, sell it and get your money back or make money off of it, a good return on your investment. I really didn't have an exit strategy. I probably should have. And so when all of a sudden I wanted to sell it, I didn't know what to do. So I definitely recommend, kind of thinking that out, because at some point you probably will sell. I think I mentioned this already. You need to have a relationship with your bank, attorney, accountant, insurance agent, and business mentor. These are advisors for you. You need somebody who is unbiased. You get too much involved in the business, you're going to go crazy. You need someone to level set you in all those areas. Okay, we're not going to do this, but I don't know if we even have this. There's basically a small business readiness assessment, and I'll just show it to you. It indicates your strengths and areas to work on with your mentor and other associates. So basically, here's a chart here. So if total score should not be more than 10. Okay, so assign points to indicate agreement, less if you do not agree. So basically the more points you have, the better you are, right? Because it's saying my product service is servicing an unmet need. My product could be expanded. I know who my potential buyers are. I have a clear value proposition. I know what it takes to start, what it takes to run my business, and I understand how to get financing. I have a plan to fund it. I'm ready to work hard, and I understand the challenges. So those are kind of those kind of 5 areas: feasibility, market identification, implementation, funding, and personal readiness. If anyone had taken a screenshot, just take a picture of that, maybe you should do that to kind of help you when you do your business plan. So go ahead, I'll leave it on for a second. Go ahead and take a photo of it, because I don't believe we're sending out the presentation. Just tell me when I'm ready to go to the next page. Everyone got a picture? Yes, no?
Yeah.
Can I hear a yes?
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay. This is something that you can do on your own. I'm not going to grade it. You can do it after this meeting. Write a vision. You may have already done this. Write a vision statement for your business. What's the purpose? What are you trying to achieve? Why you're in the business? Describe your products and services your business provides. Explain what is important to your business and the value your business lives by. That's kind of important to have. You put your vision statement together. You have it in your office. You look at it every day. It's somewhat motivating. And then you kind of feel like you have a purpose every day to wake up and do your business. So you want to take a picture of that too. So you have that. If I can I got to find out if I can send the presentation to you, and I will. I don't think I could do the recording, so I'll find out. So, okay. I'll let you take a quick photo of that, and then I'll move on. I think we're pretty close to being done. Okay. So be well prepared to proceed. test the feasibility of one or multiple business ideas and start work on a business plan and financials. Now, I know there was one woman who has a lot of ideas in her head. I would narrow it down to maybe 3 and kind of, work on those, or just kind of expand them out a little bit. Don't go crazy. Don't write 3 business plans. You go crazy. And then there's, kind of get yourself to understand more of the topics. Like I said at the very beginning, I'll just go back to the beginning real quick. So the topics, okay, so that's not it. Bear with me 1 second. Okay, so we just talk about startup basics. Then there's business concepts. You may want to talk to I would recommend everyone here reach out to, you can go online and do it, get a mentor. And then they can help you, whether they just do one-on-one with you to talk about the other sessions. That would be really helpful. If they could provide you recordings or presentations, they could help you with that. We used to do these other courses. When I ran the seminars, we used to do all of them. I don't know if we're doing all of them anymore. You can ask your mentor that. If I get the answer to that, I'll just email all you. Okay. Let me go back. A lot of pages. Yeah. This is not a PowerPoint. This is a PDF. So. Okay. So. Okay. So I said, you're going to start out trying to figure out what you want your business to be, work on a business plan, financials, learn more about the other topics in the session, like marketing and feasibility and all that. Defer your decision about going into business for yourself now, but don't give up on your dream. Okay. Work with a SCORE mentor to fine tune your idea. So don't give up. Could be a little frustrating, but you don't want to start a business until you have a clear plan. Okay. If you try to just jump into it, you're gonna sink. Okay. I'll be honest with you, you will. It's otherwise you got to have some map to follow. If you're already in business, we could talk about that. It sounds like none of you already own your own business, except maybe the chef does. But if you're in your own business, you know a little bit more about this. If you're looking to do something different, the transition process might be a little bit easier. Okay. So again, these are the different sessions that we used to hold, all of them, but these are the 5 that I mentioned already, and we're doing startup basics right now. If you guys take this down, this is the student webpage for start your business at www.score.org. Start your business, and there's links to handouts, workshop materials, and additional resources. Okay, so just write that down. And if you're working with a mentor, they can, if you need more information, they could guide you. Okay. Sometimes we have, people that are starting some businesses that we don't have an expertise in. So we might reach out to another SCORE chapter for someone that has that background. We do not have a survey here to give you. Unless you get one after the fact, I forget, I apologize. So, if you do get one, hopefully you'll give us a 10. How likely is that you would recommend this workshop, and what's your primary reason for answering that, and what's the most important improvement that you like that would make you rate us closer to it? Okay. So that's the overview. Before we have the Charlotte Mecklenburg Library person, get involved, start his part. He'll provide you a lot of information. Some of it will help you kind of understand more about what I went over. Any specific questions for me?
I actually wanted to ask you to expand just a teeny bit more about the differences between filing taxes with an LLC versus an S Corp.
Okay, so if you, if you're an LLC like I am, you're a limited liability corporation, which is basically protects your personal assets. When you file taxes, you can elect with the IRS to file as an LLC or an S corp. If you file as an LLC, then you're going to pay your whatever your loss or income is. You're going to pay corporate taxes on your business. Okay. If you're an LLC and you want to file as an S corp, you can elect that with the IRS, and that gives you the ability to you're not paying taxes twice in a sense. So you would just file it. You file a corporate return, but you don't pay taxes on the corporation. Whatever your net income is or loss, it flows through as other income on your personal return, and you're getting taxed at the personal rate, not the corporate rate. I'm not an expert in it, but like I said, that's something I would definitely talk to an accountant about. So once you set up your company, you have a name, a unique name, then you would set it up, with the second. It's pretty easy to do. There's a form to fill out, and then you would get accepted by the Secretary of State. You would be registered under that name. After you do that, then you would make it. Once you make a decision, it's hard to change it. So if you decide, it's easier to go from sole proprietor to LLC than LLC to sole proprietor, to be honest with you. If you elect to file taxes as an S corporation and you want to change it, that's also a red flag for the IRS. So that's why I recommend you really having a conversation with your accountant, and they could advise you the best way to set up the business.
It was really helpful. Thank you.
Okay. Anything else? Okay. I'm going to share the screen now. I'm going to stop this and give you Jeremy, right?
Yep, Jeremy.
Okay. Jeremy. Let me give you access to the screen. I think I do this. Multiple participants. I think I had to do this. See if you can share your screen. Oh,
Yeah.
thank you, Shaden.
Yes,
Appreciate
I can.
that. Appreciate your comment. You got it?
I can. Before I start screen sharing, I'm going to drop my contact information in the chat. I feel free to reach out to me. I am a librarian at the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Library at the Allegra Westbrooks branch off of Beatty's Ford Road. So for those of you that are in the Charlotte area, you're welcome to come in. You can also reach out to me virtually. For those of you outside the Charlotte area, but in North Carolina, you will have access to all of the resources I'm going to talk about through your local library system, because it's part of a system called NC Live, which allows every public library in the state to have access to these resources. I believe it was Teresa that was in New Jersey. But for those of you outside North Carolina, you'll have access to some of them, but looking at your library system, maybe not all of them. You'll have to check with your local system to see if they have anything similar. But here is my contact information. So feel free to reach out to me with questions. I'm also going to put two resources in the chat panel as soon as my computer cooperates. There are two different business resources. One, okay, my computer does not like me today. Let me try this again.
It's not letting you share?
It's saying network disconnected.
Okay. All I did is on start share screen, I wrote multiple participants can share simultaneously. I think I just need to give you control. Hold on.
It could be my computer too. Normally I'm in the branch when I do this. Today I'm at home, so it might
give me 1 second to figure this out. It can't be that hard. Um, why can't I?
Here we go. If I drag and drop them into the chat window instead of trying to use the. Oh,
What are you doing?
it's probably because I had the Word document open because I was going to show it to you. That's why.
Oh, okay. So you can share that now?
Yes,
Okay,
you
you
should
shared
see,
a file. Okay.
each see two documents. One is a PDF, and that is a trifold brochure that you are welcome to print. And then the other one is a Word document. I'm going to show those real fast. The Word document has some library resources on it, but it also has.
You want us to open that up? I'm sorry.
You're welcome to open it if you want, but I'm going to share it.
Okay,
now.
I gotcha.
There
we go.
So you should all see this. But this has some library resources, and then it also has additional resources outside of the library that are specific to the Charlotte region, like the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Quality of Life Explorer, the Regional Business Alliance. But these can be very helpful, and we'll talk about some of these in a moment. And then I'm going to share the PDF just to show you what that looks like. This is a trifold brochure that is specific to the library, and it's just library resources. But as you can see, we have quite a few. This one has general research databases and general statistics. Got a lot of different news databases, market research, ebooks, many different ones. But if you have questions on any of those, feel free to reach out to me. And then for the presentation proper, I'm going to start on our website here at cmlibrary.org. And then you will need your library card. Again, if you're outside the Charlotte region, check with your local library system. They'll have access to all of these resources as well. And then if you're outside the state, again, check with your local system and see what they have. But for the most part, you'll be going to the Research and Learn tab. And then this shows you our databases. I saw a lot of questions on business plans, so I'm going to start with one called Gale eBooks. So to get to it, the fastest way is just to click on the G and hit Apply Filters. And you can scroll down, and there is Gale eBooks right here. And when you click on Access Now, it will ask for your library card. Let me get the Zoom overlay out of my way. And once you put in your library card number, you'll be taken to this page here. And if you scroll down, don't be alarmed by some of the older pictures. This database is very hard for us to weed. Once something's in there, it's pretty much just in there. But the resource I'm going to show you is updated very regularly. But we've got, if you scroll down to the business section, we've got the Business Plans Handbook series right here. If you click on that, it will show you all the different volumes they have there. You can see we've got 3 just from 2024 alone. You can search within the database using the search box over here, or you can just browse. The example I'm going to use today is coffee shops. And the Zoom video window is kind of blocking my view a little bit, so if there's typos on there, I apologize. But it shows you different business plans that were successful for coffee shops, and you can scroll through. Typically, you want to choose a more recent one. Depending on your business, the environment may or may not have changed too drastically in recent years. But for many businesses, the market changed significantly after 2020 when COVID hit. So you typically want to try to find something newer than 2020 if possible. But you can see they have a lot of different types of business plans here. We'll go with just the first one that came up, the coffee shop here. And this will show you what a successful business plan tends to look like. So you can see the format they use, the different sections they have, the different types of data and statistics they gathered, and we'll talk about how you gather those data and statistics in a moment. The profiles they do, the type of what they call SWOT analysis, or strengths, opportunities, weaknesses, or excuse me, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. All of that. It's right here on the web page. You can download this as a PDF if you so choose. You can email it to yourself. And again, there are hundreds of business plans available throughout this whole series. If I back out of this for a moment, you can see we have volumes going all the way back to the 90s when they started publishing this series. We're up to volume 60 now. Questions on this? Okay, I'm not hearing any questions, but if you do,
I have a question.
go right ahead.
I know that you said that what you're looking at specifically is for like the Charlotte area. So if I was to go like search it in like, because I'm from Greensboro, if I was to go search up like to look for this exact thing, I should be able to find it, right?
Since you're in North Carolina, yes. Again, North
Okay.
Carolina, we have something called North Carolina Live or NC Live, which is funded by the General Assembly and pays for every public library in the state, every public university library, and any private college or university library that wants to buy in to be able to get access to these resources. And this is one that is funded through NC Live, so all North Carolina public libraries will have access to this one.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I have a question. I'm sorry.
Go right ahead.
So if I'm in the Fort Mill area, will I still?
So since you're in South Carolina, I'm not 100% sure. I would check with your local library there. If they don't, since we're right across the border, you can come to visit any Charlotte-Mecklenburg library and get an internet day pass for free and be able to browse the resource in the building for free. If you're inside the library building on our computers, you don't need a library card to log into this resource.
Okay, thank you.
But check with your local library first. They may have it.
Okay, all right, thanks.
Thank you. All right. I want to spend most of the time on two of our more powerful databases, though. Real briefly, I'll point out another Gale resource, the Gale Directory Library. Back on the library's resources page, it's right above the Gale ebooks. But this has things like the Encyclopedia of Associations, business rankings, these are very up-to-date, constantly updated directories that provide just a huge wealth of information, just depending on what you need. Again, they're both available for free at any North Carolina library. The ones I want to spend the most time on, though, are one called Data Axle. So just click on the D and then hit Apply Filters. And you can scroll down. It's the second one on our page, Data Axle Reference Solutions. This one is an enormously powerful database. It's very expensive. At one point, NC Live decided that they couldn't afford to pay for it. And we at Charlotte kept our own subscription to it. And I literally had people coming in from all over the state to use our reference computers to look at this database. Which eventually NC Live picked it up again, so it's now available statewide. And Teresa, I did check, it looks like it should be available to you in New Jersey as well. It looks like they do have this one. I didn't see that they had the Gale ones, but that will vary by your specific location. But it looks like Data Axle is available statewide in New Jersey as well. But it allows you to construct searches. Hopefully it didn't time out on me. Searches like this, you've got a lot of different ways you can search. This also allows you to develop like mailing lists. So if you open up a brick and mortar store and you want to send like a mass mailer to the people that live within a certain distance of you, you can do that through here as well. But the search I constructed here, again, looking at coffee shops, you can put in, if you, from the home page, you've got the different types of databases, and I'm using primarily the US business database. But again, if you wanted to do like a mailing list to possible consumers, you could look at the US standard white pages, and then maybe 6 months later, do one in the new movers homeowners database, just to catch people that have moved to your area recently. But inside the US business database, you can go to search, and they give you a fairly simple quick search. But then if you toggle it to advanced search, which can take a moment sometimes, you've got all of these different ways you can search this database. The two that I tend to find most useful for this are the keyword searches and then some sort of geography search. In this case, I'm just doing county, but depending on what I'm looking at, I could do any of these. The map-based search is cool in that it lets you actually define a very specific area. That one would be the most useful probably if you were going to be doing a mass mailer, because it would probably be cost prohibitive to do like an entire zip code or something like that. So this would let you target like a specific neighborhood. But in this case, I'm going to go with county. And once I check those, they appear here in the center. And I can start to define types of searches that I want to do. So I'm going to do, again, coffee.
Jeremy,
Go right ahead.
Cass, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I was wondering if you could do an example in North Carolina to see maybe like say a 2-mile radius, how many cats and dogs live in the homes?
So this database will not tell you that, unfortunately. The next one I'm going to show you I'll need to double check, but we'll probably have more on pet ownership. But this one does not.
Okay,
This one is like people that live in an area and businesses. Does that answer your question? If not, let me know.
Yes.
So for the keyword search, I can drop a keyword in and I can search by either SIC codes or by NAICS codes. It tends to default to SIC, so I tend to just leave it. If I'm doing this for real with a customer though, it's good to search both because different things can be classified slightly different ways depending on which system you're searching. I can add like coffee and tea. I'm not really interested in product manufacturing or wholesales, so I can scroll down and look through any of these that look like they're going to be useful. And I can click on as many of these as I want. My sample search earlier, I had 3. And also you'll want to think about, well, who else is going to be a competitor? Not just other coffee shops, but bakeries sometimes have coffee and they might not be classified as a coffee shop. They'll be classified as a bakery. And baking does appear somewhere in here. I'm not right here. Baker's retail. You could also look at restaurants. There's a lot of different ways you could structure this search, but put in again as many as you feel are relevant. And then if you come down, we've got the county geography under here. So I can start by limiting it by state and go straight to North Carolina. And it gives me a list of all the counties. And I can either scroll to Mecklenburg or I can just start typing. And as I type, it will filter. And I can click on it to add it. And if I'm right on the border, I can add, multiple counties on there as well. And once I structure the search, I can go to the blue update count button and see what comes up and see if it gives me a reasonable number. Depending on the classification codes I picked, I may not get anything if there's nothing classified as that. 418 looks like a good number to start with. So I'll go ahead and view results. And this gives me the first 25 results spread across 17 pages of retailers or businesses, I should say, that match my search criteria. And then it will tell me over here if it's part of a larger corporation or not. And I can go and look at that corporation's data by clicking on the upward pointing arrow or view the corporate tree by clicking on the little tree icon. And then inside any of these, I can click on them to get a little more information about the business. I'll go with Auntie Anne since they are part of a corporation. The bigger the company, the more information they tend to have. This will tell me things like, again, basic contact information. The SIC codes they operate under. So if I find a business similar to mine and I'm struggling to know what codes to put in, I can check them and see how they're classified. That might help me find other codes to use as well. There might be a business profile, and these can be useful in terms of figuring out how to quickly pitch your business, since these have to be short. It will give me an idea of like the sales volume, the number of employees, if they're owned by somebody, things like that. Sometimes they'll have management directories, lots of really interesting, very, very good data, just depending on what I'm looking for. But again, this database is huge. We could easily spend several hours in here. I'm going to go ahead and go back to my results set just to show you how you would download this data to make like something like a mailing list. And the same processes I'm using here work in the white pages search as well. So if I did this in the white pages and wanted to get a mailing list for a particular area, I could do that, and I can check mark up to 250 results, or 10 pages essentially, at a time by clicking on the checkbox inside the blue header, and it check marks everything on that page. And then I can go to the next page and check mark that. And again, I can get up to 10 of these at a time. And once I do that, I've got the download button right here. And I can choose the format I want to download it. And then I can choose whether or not I just want the summary or whether I want to go detailed and get more specific information. This can be very useful, especially if you're trying to find something like a supplier, because you can go in and download all this data on the suppliers and use that to filter out who's going to be a good choice or not. For most uses, though, summary is pretty much what you need. And then if I download that, it pulls it into a nice Excel sheet that I can then use to turn into a mail merge. Questions on that?
Does this work for just physical businesses, or is this also good for online businesses?
It's based on where they're registered. So it will show online businesses if their registered address is within the defined geography.
Thank you.
Did that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay. They do
Did-
have, oh, go
I'm
ahead.
sorry. Did you say that you were going to be able to provide us with that PDF you have that has all the references on it?
You should have it in the chat.
I did.
If it's not letting you download it from chat, feel free to email me and I can send it to you directly. I don't
Okay.
actually have your contact information since registration for this was handled through SCORE.
Okay.
But you should see my email in the chat. And if it's not letting you download, email it me directly and I'll get it to you.
Thank you.
And let me check chat real fast so I can see, make sure there's no other questions. Somebody pointed out for the question about pet ownership. Yeah, you could look and see the number of vets in a particular area. All right, not seeing any other questions there. So the next resource that I want to talk about is called Simply Analytics. And Teresa, I apologize, it does not look like this one is available in statewide, at least in New Jersey. So check with your local system to see if they've subscribed to it on their own. But it allows you to do these really cool map-based searches among many others. This is also another very complex database that we could easily spend several hours talking about. But the types of searches I did here, just to give you an example of the type of data I've pulled up. Oh, yeah, it kicked me out. Let me get logged back in. It can be a little slow to load because it is a lot of data for it to process. So sometimes you'll have the Simply Analytics logo kind of circling there for a little bit. But I can look at like, what is the household average of people who have coffee in their home, or other bakery type products, coffee cakes, donuts. I can look at where are people using the internet in coffee shops, if that's a service I'm thinking of offering. I can look at the percentage of people that get coffee on the go in the last 7 days. So lots of different searches. There are literally thousands, if not millions, of data points that you can look at. So if I look at the number of people that have, or the percentage of people that have got coffee in the last 7 days, it gives me this map, and I can break the map down into different geographies. The smallest it goes down to is block groups, then census tracts, then zip codes, cities, so on and so forth. Not all of these will be available for every data point. It tends to default to zip codes, which, since zip codes can be pretty large, is not always that useful. So I tend to look at block groups because I like the more granular look. But it will reformat the map. And the darker it uses this monochrome red by default. And the darker the red, the more money was spent, or the more people, I should say, got coffee within the last 7 days when they did this survey. You'll see the dates in the surveys are sometimes a couple years old. That's normal for survey data like this. It takes a long time to process that data. So even if they do the survey, if they do the survey in 2024, the data is probably not going to be released until 2026 or so. So it's always, the data you see is always a couple years back. But when they did this survey in 2021, not surprisingly, people in South Charlotte got a lot of coffee, but other places as well. So if you were wondering, okay, where do I put my coffee shop? This could help you determine where people are currently buying coffee. And if you look at other types of data points, like the amount of money in the area, and if you find a spot that has a good amount of money in the area, but not necessarily a lot of people buying coffee, that could indicate that there aren't many coffee shops in that area. So it might warrant looking further at that. You can toggle or you can change this. So if the percentages aren't quite what you need, you can go to the edit button and you can edit the endpoint percentages. You can also edit the individual colors. So looking at all the different shades of red after a while, they all start kind of blurring together for me. So I like to make the areas that I'm looking at, the most desirable areas, the ones I want to look at, something different. So I can, again, click that edit button and then click on the color I want to change. And I can pick any of these different colors. So maybe go with a green for the areas that I want to highlight, and maybe a lighter green for the slightly less desirable areas. And then maybe make the areas that I know, okay, that's not a good area for me, a darker shade of red. Is that making sense so far, everyone? Keeping up with this?
Yes, it is. Thanks, Jeremy.
So to use this database, I kind of jumped straight to the endpoint, but to actually use this database and set up a project, when you first log into it, it will prompt you to create a new project. And you can create an account so you can actually save projects on here, so you don't have to recreate your work every time you log in. Or you can just use it as a guest if you just want to generate something quickly that time. But to create a project, you'll start by putting in a location. For this sample one that I'm showing you, I did City of Charlotte, but you can put lots of different types of locations in. So I'll use Mecklenburg County, and I can go to Mecklenburg County, NC. And then next, and it gives me a selection of some of the most popular data that they tend to use. You can check any of these that are of interest to you, or you can just create it without the seed variables to add your own. Then it prompts you to pick a view. The map is the most kind of flashy, the most impressive view, but depending on what you're looking for, you may want to look at things as a comparison table or a ranking table. They have lots of different types of views here. It looks like 12 of them. So just depending on the type of data you're tracking, you'll pick the view that is most useful to you. And you can always add views later. So just because I selected map now doesn't mean that I'm locked into just looking at it as a map. I can always look at other types of views later. You can zoom out of the way again. And then I can go in and start adding my data points. And I can search the data up here. I will say, unless I'm looking for something very specific and I know exactly how to word it, the search can be very overwhelming. Like, just for my example, if I put in coffee and run that search, it gives me over 1,000 results just for coffee. And some of these are, pretty relevant, like household average of coffee cakes, or, baked goods in the house, household average of coffee in the house. Others get a little more abstract, like the total of people who work as host or hostesses in restaurants, lounges, and coffee shops. The data can get very, very, very specific. If I scroll down here, there was one where it was like looking at number of people that use like coffee creamer. So searching can be a little overwhelming sometimes. So sometimes it is easier to kind of browse. So if I wanted to look at like categories, I could go to say consumer behavior. And then within that, I can filter it down to maybe I want to look just at spending habits or food and beverage habits. We'll go with food and beverage. And then I can, again, filter it down as I need to even further. So like they have a beverages coffee section there. So this is drawing from a data source called Simmons Local. So it lets me, a number of people who bought ready to drink iced coffee or coffee drinks in the last 7 days. Number of people who bought regular cola, not diet cola drinks, so on and so forth. And I can click on any of these. I can also browse by data folder, which is a little more abstract than category. But when I go to data folder, it gives me the source that Simply Analytics is using to draw on this data. And so for stuff like this, most of what I'm looking for tends to come from the Simmons Local. So I can click on that, and then I've got all these different folders that I can browse through. So I could go into, say, beverages, and they have non-alcoholic was where I found it, I think. Yeah, ready to drink coffee, iced coffee. But lots of different ways I can go in and drill down on this data. Back on categories, it's not just business data as well. You can look at things like languages. You can look at things like, again, the poverty level, so how much money is in an area. Things like the age of housing in the area. So I think somebody was interested in, do I remember correctly? Somebody was interested in building. So maybe you want to send out mailers to, in areas where the housing is aging. That might encourage people to, hey, let's renovate. Health data. Just out of curiosity, I am going to search for pets. So like, yeah, we can look at household average for, the number of pets in the house. They have things like pet food purchases, pet services, vet services. I don't know if they'll get as specific as like specific types of animals, but yeah, I'm not seeing. So you can look at, the number of people buying cat food in an area, but I'm not seeing like, to your question, Teresa, I'm not seeing specific down to, which specific animals they have, but you can look at the number of people that have pets. Questions so far? Okay. And again, you can have multiple projects in here. So I'm going to jump back to my completed score project just to show you some of the other views. So ranking can be helpful if you're more of a data or more if you like to read the data. So looking at this is looking at the number of people that bought non-alcoholic or coffee or have coffee at home. And I can see it looks like Matthews tends to have the highest in-home oh, it's sorted by location name, never mind. So if I wanted to look at the zip code that has the highest food in the home, I can toggle it to that search. And it looks like 28207 tends to have the highest number of, I think this was coffee in the house. And I can add that location like as a favorite if I need to. I can give it a specific name if I so choose. And then once I've got my report the way I want it, I can come to the export, and I can do this on really any of these. And I can go in and export this for use inside, like, say, my business plan. Questions on this so far?
Jeremy, I have a question. I'm not sure if I heard you correctly. As long as I have a local North Carolina library card, I can access this database from home?
This database is available statewide throughout all of North Carolina, yes.
Okay, but I do need to have a card though.
You will need to have a library card. Yeah, that's how they verify that they've been paid.
Awesome. All right, thank you.
I'm gonna take a quick moment and review chat because I can't read it as they're coming in. So the question here, does your database have sample feasibility studies for businesses like it does business plans? Step by step determine it's worthwhile to create a business plan. I don't know that we'll have, let me reread this, make sure I'm understanding. Don't know that we'll have specific feasibility studies, but we do have a lot of different resources. So I'm going to jump back to our online resources page. We have, among other things, I go to the ease. We have the entrepreneurship database from ProQuest. Here again, you would just access this with your library card. And then we also have in the A's, we have ABI Inform Complete, which both of those will have things like SWOT analyses, industry profiles, things like that. They may not be as specific or local as you might like for the Charlotte area, but they will have that type of thing. Did that answer your question, Santusi? Let me make sure I'm saying this right. Santusi, right? Okay. Well, if that didn't answer your question, let me know. I think I just answered Antifa's question. Yes, all of these resources are available from home with your library card. I'm actually at home right now, so it looks like Raj is not able to see my email in chat, so let me drop that again.
I'm sorry, Jeremy. How is my name registered? It's Atifa.
And
There's no N. It's Atifa.
oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. I don't want to be part of the terrorist organization.
All right, that should have my email. Okay, and Santusi says it looks like I did answer that question. Raj, if you can't see my email address again, I'll just say it. It is JLYT as in Tom, AL, so JLYTAL at cmlibrary.org. But feel free to reach out to me. So there's a question from Teresa. How is the data compiled? Is some through the census? Yes, absolutely. Some of it is through the census. A lot of it is through data collection agencies. Back over on Simply Analytics. Again, Simmons Local is a data collection agency. They also get a lot through, and of course, my mind just went completely blank on the name of the company. This one's coming from the Census Bureau. I can't. My brain is just completely shutting down on this one, but there's a very well-known data collection agency that provides a lot of the data that they get. That's going to drive me nuts now that I can't think of that name. Yeah, let's hope you pop up there, but lots of different sources. For Simply Analytics, they get a lot from business surveys. For Data Axle, not Simply Analytics. They also index every phone book and city directory in the country. Zaquanza, yes, they also do a lot of surveys. Teresa, yes, the name is Simply Analytics. Again, it did not look like it was part of the statewide consortium that New Jersey has, but your local library may still subscribe to it, so I would check with them. So the question is online bakeries. Here again, it will depend on where the business is registered. If they're registered in whatever geography you define, then yes, they should come up. All right, I'm showing 7:28, so I think I'm just about out of time. So are there any last questions?
Thank you so much, Jeremy. I appreciate you all. I know this is tough at night when you're probably ready to have dinner, but I appreciate this. If I could send out the,
I was just gonna say, if I could wrap with one last comment.
Sure.
All Charlotte-Mecklenburg libraries have access to the same resources. Most of our branches have someone who works with the business resources pretty regularly, so I don't really want to recommend one over another. If Allegra Westbrook's, where I am, is not convenient for you, let me know which branch is, and I'll see who's the one that works with them there. And then on our website, if you go to events, we have a lot of one-on-one appointments where you can book, we call them Book a Librarian, and you can actually sign up for a one-on-one appointment to go into a deeper dive with these databases. All right, thank you, Andrew, that was it.
Okay, great. So like I said, thank you so much for joining us for the last 2 hours. If I'm able to send out the PowerPoint, I will. I know I can't send out the recording. I guess there's some new rules now. I have all your email addresses and everything. Jeremy, is there something that you can send me? Some of the overview sheets, I forget. Yeah, and I can email them out.
Absolutely. I don't know that I have your email. I just have the generic score one.
Okay, I'll give you mine.
If you'll send me,
I'll just put it in the chat. Andrew Dermick. Oh, I'm just now. There you go. You got that?
I do.
Okay, I think that's it. Okay, well, thanks everybody. Have a great night. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
All right. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
You're welcome.